Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Julian Fernandez, and I'm a D1 at UTHealth School of Dentistry at Houston. And it's an honor to be here speaking to you all about my dental experience, my school, and representing the class of 2026. I am originally from a small border town known as Roma, Texas, which is in South Texas. And I went to the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and I got my Bachelor's of Science in 2021. And I majored in biological sciences, and a few extracurricular activities I was involved with that I thought were impactful on my journey to dental school was, of course, UTRGV's Pre-Dental Society. I was a member for about 2 years, and then I became an officer. I participated as the historian of the officers. And so I was able to do a lot of volunteering and community service and just in general meet people that are like-minded. And so if your school has a pre-dental society, join it. I think it would really benefit you on this journey. If you don't have one, this is your sign. Maybe you should start one. I am sure that your university has other students that also want to follow this pathway. And another club that I was involved in undergrad was my school's mariachi music program. And so that was a little bit more on the fun side, but I was able to gain teaching experience and learning something on the side from health and science. And so I feel like that's something that really made me stand out in my application because I did concerts, workshops, I did a little bit of public speaking in that field, and I got to network a lot. And so I feel like that was very fun and enjoyable for me, and I actually miss it a lot. And some of the hobbies I enjoy doing is I love watching Netflix series, TikToks on my breaks from studying, and I'm a musician, so what I like to do when I'm not studying is I like to play violin or I like to sing. Those are my main two instruments, so I like to do that. I recently just got involved in a string quartet where we're going to be playing in a retirement home here in Houston. So I'm excited for that because I've never done a string quartet. And I also enjoy getting food here in Houston. I mean, Houston is very diverse. There's so many different cultures and people, so I like trying new things. I've tried a lot of cool things here in Houston. And honestly, like as a student, I feel like there's so much more I have yet to explore in this city because I'm always busy at school. And so hopefully in the next 3 years, I'll be able to explore the city more. Ever since I was small, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. I was very attracted to the idea of being a doctor. I saw the impact that doctors had in my community and in TV shows where they would save people's lives. And so I knew that it was in my nature that I wanted to do something that involved helping other people in a meaningful way. I've always been the type of student that I've always wanted to stand out, to be different. And so I think that careers like dentistry and in the medical field, like you're able to get that opportunity. And so I grew up with the idea of wanting to be a doctor, but as a kid, like you don't really know what that is, what it means to be a doctor, what it takes to be a doctor. And so along my educational route, I took a career class in middle school where they taught me about like the different types of doctors. And that's when I realized, well, I've had this idea of being a doctor in the USA, but I don't know what that really is. And then I realized, well, there's all these different types of doctors. What would best fit me? What would I enjoy? What would be most rewarding? And so I was exploring the idea of different types of doctors. And it was around that time that I realized that a dentist was also a type of doctor. And I actually went to receive orthodontic treatment for about 2 years, more or less. And it wasn't until after I finished my treatment that I realized the huge impact my orthodontist made on my life, on my smile, on my face. I just felt so thankful, and I realized that I would like to give that same feeling to other people, and I could see myself doing it. And so that's when I got interested in being an orthodontist. And that's when my orthodontist told me, well, if you want to be an orthodontist, you need to go to dental school. And that means that you need to, graduate from high school, go to undergrad, go to dental school, and, you need to do good. And so she told me about her her career and being in dental school. And she told me that if I was interested in ortho, that I needed to, learn about general dentistry to see if I liked that first, because first you needed to graduate dental school as a general dentist. And so she encouraged me to go shadow my general dentist. I did that. And what I found was just truly amazing. I mean, I feel like I really enjoyed seeing everything that I saw in general dentistry. I like the work-life balance that my dentist and my orthodontist had. And the fact that every day they were able to make a difference using their hands, I thought that was very attractive. The type of relationships that they had with their workers, I thought it was just super attractive. And I was able to compare it to the medical field. And I realized that I like dentistry more. And so I had an idea of what I needed to do to get there. And so then I went to undergrad, applied to dental school, DAT. Now I'm here. I think we can all agree that the DAT is probably one of the most stressful times for a pre-dent trying to get into dental school. And I totally get it. And I just want to say that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but even so, like once you get into dental school, you realize that that's only the beginning. And so to tell you a little bit about how I prepared for the DAT, I basically used a combination of DAT Bootcamp and DAT Destroyer. And just to mention, like I have no like profitable relationships with them, mentioning this, but I did use both. I had the idea of the more resources, the better. So that's what I tried to do. And so what I thought was great about Bootcamp is that I like that they had their website very organized. If you needed help or feedback, you can go and, post your questions. Somebody would get back to you. You had videos for any little topic that you were confused or weren't really sure about. So I like that you could just go there, find the videos, find the content. I thought that their notes were very useful, and there's even like a calendar / schedule that you can follow for your DAT studying. I personally did not follow that 100%. I just basically adapted it to how I could study for the DAT. And I used Destroyer to test myself on subjects I was weaker on, because I heard that those questions were harder and that they would prepare you more for the DAT. And I definitely have to agree with that. I'm very big on like taking questions, like practice questions, because I feel like I do better. And so I complemented Bootcamp with the DAT Destroyer questions, and I feel like that did help me for my DAT. So you want to take the DAT earlier than later. So usually your junior or senior year. You all probably already know this, but I studied for the DAT for about 6 months, and I took it twice. I think that the biggest 3 tips that I can give you all for the DAT is, number 1, don't try and focus on your strengths to make up for your weaknesses and expect to get your desired academic average, because I think that you're going to put yourself up for failure, and it could end up being like a hit or miss. Okay, because that's exactly what happened to me the first time that I took the DAT. I really tried to maximize my scores in biology and in the reading section, because I thought that it would really pick up my scores. But in reality, I was struggling more with organic chemistry and mathematics, because I've never really been much of a math person. And so I ended up not getting my ideal score for dental school. And so I had to retake it again. So I paid double the money, and I had to study another 6 months for it. So my biggest tip, focus on those weaknesses and do not move on to another topic in those subjects until you know one, and then move on, because you need to know it. Especially like for the chemistry, is like you can't just memorize chemistry. You need to understand it. So if you're not understanding the basics of chemistry, like you're screwed later. So number 1 biggest tip. Number 2 is find a support group. If you have a pre-dental society, make a group chat with students that are going to take the DAT around the same time, motivate each other, study with each other, and help each other with your strengths and weaknesses. So I did that one of my best friends is with me in dental school. And so I was really good at biology. She was really good at chemistry. And so we both kind of help each other out in that sense. So I would definitely recommend that, getting a support group. And number 3, I would say just knowing yourself and believing in your abilities. I know it takes a toll on you mentally, like thinking if you're going to do good or not. But I know that you guys can do it. I mean, it's been done. You're no exception. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is that when you take the DAT, you can't sign up for it again until 3 months after. So that was another mistake that I did. I wanted to apply in the cycle of 2021 for the class of 2025. But I took my DAT in October, and I was thinking, oh, well, I could just take it again, before the cycle closes or whatever. But that wasn't the case. So I basically had to take a gap year. And that's honestly fine, because I realized that, I needed that gap year. Things happen for a reason. I think it was the combination of the fact that I was a part of the pre-dental society and I was very active. I transitioned from a student participating in volunteer and community service to becoming an officer, so helping organize that. So I was able to do community and volunteer services outside of dentistry, but I also got to do things in the field of dentistry with the pre-dental society. And I think that just really showed my effort to get to know the field and know that I really wanted to get into dental schools. So again, if your school has a pre-dental society, get involved. It would definitely benefit you to find like-minded people and to learn about important information and opportunities that are out there for you. And so in undergrad, I was studying science, but I was also doing something on the side, which was being a music major. Part of a music program. And so I was basically balancing my classes with 2 extracurricular activities. And so sometimes I would literally get out of lab at 7 p.m. and then I'd go to my rehearsals from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I kept busy. I kept a busy schedule. I took a lot of hours. So I think that when it came down to school seeing my application, they saw that I had good grades and I was involved with the pre-dental society and doing dental related things. And at the same time, I was doing other things outside too. So I think they got to see that I was a fairly responsible student that can handle pressure, that can handle multiple things at once. And I think that with the music program, I got to go through a lot of very unique opportunities. And so I would definitely say that if there's anything unique about you, embrace it and try and find ways to bring that out, because that's the way you become memorable. So for me, for instance, along my musical journey, I went to America's Got Talent. And so I know that that's something that made me stick out. I performed in places like the Chicago Millennium Park. I accompanied famous singers from Mexico like Aida Cuevas. And I've been able to play alongside, not necessarily with, but alongside the stage with mariachis like Mariachi Sol de Mexico and Mariachi Vargas de Tecalitlan. And I also had teaching experience doing workshops for kids of all ages, from I think the smallest age of 5 to 6, maybe to around my age now, which is 23. So I think those are things that the schools took in mind, that I was able to have communication skills, social skills, networking skills, teaching skills, being able to speak. And so I think those are things that really help me. You don't have to be like me, but embrace what sets you apart. If you bake and you have a passion for that, why not start a baking page and talk about how you use your hands for that, because hand skills are important. That's something else that I talked about. I like doing things with my hands, so I play violin. I can do other instruments like guitar, piano. And so if you bake, start a baking page or a baking business. If you do art, do some art competitions. If you write, try and get involved in writing something and getting published, or competitions, etc. But find what sets you apart, because nowadays everybody has a DAT score. everybody has a GPA. So what makes you different and what makes you memorable is a question that only you can answer. And just to add a little bit more of things that I did to show interest in Texas dental schools was that with my pre-dental society, I was able to tour 2 out of the 4 dental schools before applying. So I was able to tour UTHealth San Antonio and UTHealth Houston. So I was able to see how the schools and the clinics were. And if you're able to go to a tour or a pre-dental day, do it, because you get to meet students and their experiences at the school, what it's like. You also will have the opportunity to meet some faculty members, maybe even people in admissions. And so I think it's just a great way to get a vibe or a feel of a school and what it's like. I also did an internship in San Antonio during my junior year in undergrad. I was a part of the LEAD program, and I was just able to get a feel of what it was like to be a dental student and just gain some experience in the dental field, just basically wetting my feet with doing fun activities like preparing for the DAT and learning a little bit about waxing and drilling. So that was really cool. So if you're able to do things like that, do it. I applied for dental school during COVID, so it was a little different. So not all schools were requiring it to be in person. So I only applied to Texas dental schools because I'm a Texas resident. And so I thought I had the best chance of getting in here, and because the schools are pretty great here. So three out of the 4 dental schools had the interviews online via Zoom or WebEx. So that included San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. For Houston and Dallas, it was 2 interviews with 2 faculty members. I think for Dallas, it was 20 to 25 minutes for each faculty member. And then for Houston, I believe it was 15 to 20 minutes with each faculty member. San Antonio, it was a 25 minute interview with a faculty member and another interview with a dental student. So that was a little different. And then for El Paso, the interviews were in person. So I had to fly out over there and go see the school, which was great because it was like brand new. And so I was able to go over there, get a tour of the school, because I was the only school with the exception of A&M that I hadn't seen at that point. So I went over there, and we basically had, I believe it was 6 to 7 mini interviews, which is kind of different and weird, but it was pretty cool. You would go in there with another student, and they would give you all like a critical thinking / weird question, and you and the student would answer the question. And they were basically grading you based on how you answered the question, not necessarily like the other person in the room. But it was actually really interesting. And I was really curious about it, actually. But I actually enjoyed it a lot. And then you also get like a formal interview with a faculty member there for like 20-25 minutes as well. And so it was a little weird for me when I did it online, because I feel like it's different in person. Like in person, it's like it feels, like a natural conversation flow. But in general, I mean, I was just so happy and excited that I got the interviews. I tried to just be as real as I could, the most professional me, but still me, not faking it. And basically, I just tried to treat it like a conversation, because that is what an interview is. Like, it's a conversation where you show who you are and why you're interested. And so in general, I was just really grateful with all my interviews, and I felt pretty confident in all of them. I don't feel like I held back or I was scared, because I knew that I was good enough to be there having the interview, and I was very grateful to even have it in the first place. And I made sure that was known. Number 1, no matter where you apply or what type of interview you have, treat it like a conversation. Show them the real you. They want to know you. The interview is about you. Make sure that it is a conversation that's flowable, that's not forced, that's not faked. Before I went into the interview room, that's what I told myself in my head. It's a conversation. I'm meeting them. I'm getting the opportunity to be here. Show that you're grateful. And so show them who you are. Be as professional and as ethical as you can be in there, while at the same time not being fake about it. And know your why. Why dentistry? Why that school? So definitely know the school that you're having an interview with. Know about their history. Know about their stats or what they have to offer you. And know what you have to offer that school. Preferably, if you can know what type of interview you're going to have before, the better, so you can prepare and just be mentally ready for that. And also so you can make travel arrangements if necessary. So if you're going to go to a school that's requiring it to be in person and it's far away, that way you can be able to make your travel arrangements early, whether you're flying or you're doing a road trip or whatever you're doing. And finally, I think a great tip for interviews is if you can sign up for any type of pre-dental interview day. So I know some schools give you like mock interviews. So if you can do like a mock interview day with a certain dental school or with your pre-dental society, do it. So I go back to the same thing. Get involved with your pre-dental societies. They are key for important information and events so you can have the highest success of getting into dental school. So it was a really difficult decision for me to make because I really liked what each Texas dental school had. I think each one has its color, its vibe. And so I really liked them all. And I was, first of all, just grateful to even be accepted to one. So I knew that regardless of which one I chose, I was going to be fine because what matters is like what you put into it. So the main three things that I was looking for in a dental school was the academic stats and credibility, number one. Number two, the environment. And number three, like the finances. So about the academic stats / credibility, my school has been standing for a long time now. And so our academic stats are great. They're pretty high in terms of graduation rate, in terms of national board, passing percentages. And so that was something that I definitely wanted to be a part of. Our research is pretty great. It's very credible. There's a lot of great things going on in research here, and I wanted to be a part of it. I actually already got the opportunity to do it, and I feel like I've learned a lot, and it's a really great experience here. So I knew I wanted to do that. In terms of the environment, what I liked about UTSD that I saw as an undergrad student applying for dental school was that I saw that in general, the students here seem to be happier than other dental schools. And I really liked that it felt like a family-based environment. And when I was an undergrad, you know, dental students would tell me here at Houston, like, oh yeah, like we have a family-based environment. And truthfully, like I didn't believe them, you know, I'm like, really? Like they're probably just like lying to me, you know? But no, like once I got here, I was able to realize that there are good people here at UTHealth Houston, and it's a great vibe, honestly. So they weren't lying to me. So the environment was also very important, and I know that because I've also seen it already, the faculty are very willing to help you for the most part. So yeah. And number three, in terms of finances, my school is not the cheapest in Texas or in the nation, but it is more cheaper than many dental schools across it. And something that I thought was very good financially about UTHealth Houston is the fact that right next to it, we have UT Housing. So I was able to get into UT Housing, which is basically a government-owned property that's gated. It's right next to my school. So here, the rent is lower. So in my head, I was like, okay, my tuition might be more expensive than other Texas dental schools, but my living expenses will be cheaper. And so I was able to get into UTHealth Housing, and it's right next to my school, so I love it. It's great. It's a 6-minute bike ride, a 10-minute walk, and I also have the rec right next to where I live, so that's great whenever I want to go over there. And so also my family really wanted me to come to Houston because I do have family here in Houston. And so I think it's important because whenever I had an emergency, like I've had family members that have been able to help me. Like in December, my car broke down, and so my uncle here, he had to lend me one of his vehicles. And I'm so grateful for that, because if I would have gone to another Texas dental school, like I would not have had family in those cities, and I don't know what I would have done. So that's my why. A combination of all of that. My entire life, I lived in the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas. I grew up there my entire life, and I went to undergrad there. And so this was going to be the first time I was going to be away from family. I do have family here in Houston, but I'm not as close to them because I didn't really grow up with them. I grew up with my family members in the Valley. And so this was going to be my first time living somewhere far away from family, living alone. When I was in the Valley and in undergrad, I lived with family, so I didn't have to pay bills or worry about, errands and cleaning and cooking and all that stuff. So I knew that I was in for some growth, for some change, because now I live with a roommate and I feel like I'm way more independent now. And so I basically packed my bags and everything I own, and I came over here once I got my apartment. And so it was all very new to me, even like the big city environment. I was used to like small border town, 12 to 13K people. And then in undergrad, it was a bigger city, but nothing compared to what Houston had to offer. Also, I grew up in a population that was like 97 to 99% Hispanic. And so coming here, it's like you see all these different types of people and food and habits. And so it was definitely also kind of like a cultural shock, but at the same time, I knew that I wanted to learn about other people and their cultures and all the different types of people out there and the food, especially when I moved to Houston. I didn't think I was going to like Indian food, but because I've never tried it. And then I got here and I loved it. So that was kind of cool. Like it was definitely a transition or period of growth for me. And when I started off, I was very nervous. Like I wasn't really sure what to expect. Like I knew it was going to be hard and I knew it was going to be a lot. And I had heard from multiple school admissions people that being in dental school is like drinking water out of a fire hose. And I tried to picture that, but no matter how much I pictured it, now that I think about it, it's like it's very different when you're actually living it because it's a lot of classes and labs and you're here like all the time. It's a full-time job without pay, but at the end, it's like it's gonna be worth it, And so for me, when I started, since I didn't really know what I was getting into, I was nervous, but at the same time, I was very excited about it. And weirdly enough, I think it was around like midterms is when I started getting like imposter syndrome because I realized, everybody here is so smart. Everyone here does so great. And not that I wasn't, but at the same time, it was just something I was not used to. I was not used to it. This type of environment where everyone's just going. And it was just so much for me. So it was just something where I just have to, believe in myself and realize that it's about the journey. Success is different for everyone. It's not a linear path. And so I was having a lot of trouble with like comparing myself to classmates and their backgrounds. And so at this point, I'm not gonna lie, like it's something that still affects me, but I've definitely grown a lot from it. And I've tried to enjoy the process more and enjoy the fact that it's more about the learning, and what determines the type of dentist I become is who I am and the effort I put into it, and not like what other people do. And so I was not expecting to have imposter syndrome because I never had it. But being here, like surrounded by all these amazing people, I think it just shows you like that there's so much growth. And I humbly say that, like, there are people in my class that are way smarter than me, but that is very humbling to me because you know what they say, like if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to the other room, and so I've learned a lot from my classmates, and they're a constant reminder to me that I can always be a better person, a better student. And so what better way to challenge myself to be better in every aspect than being surrounded by these individuals. So the smartest people I know, the most amazing people I know are my classmates, and I'm grateful to be with them. Something that helped me the most during this was actually building a support group. So coming here, there was other students from my school that came, and so walking into dental school, I had some friends already, And I made a few others, and so they've just been a big support group for me because, you know, we all help each other go through it. We sometimes study together or, you know, make flashcards or whatever and share them with each other. And whenever we would get the opportunity, we would just go out and eat or something, just, you know, to get our minds off everything or just to vent and to help each other go through it. So I really appreciated that here. And so, yeah, definitely having a support system has been very helpful to me. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we take approximately 9 to 10 classes because some people take their electives a little bit earlier. So that's my case. I'm taking an elective, so I have a total of 10 classes, and we have 4 labs. So they are a lot of classes, and it's basically a combination of lectures, labs, and in-person discussions with classmates and instructors, which is a little different than other dental schools. Usually what I do is, you know, I wake up, I get ready, I make coffee, I have breakfast, and I go to school on my bike, which is 6 minutes away. So I'm in class. The lectures will last, it's usually like 2 hours, but so we'll have like, let's just say we start at 8 a.m. So we have 50 minutes lecture, and then we have a 10-minute break, and then 50 minutes again for the second part of the lecture, and then 10 minutes break / going to your other class. Same thing. And we have an hour break for lunch. So thankfully I live close by. So usually like I'll meal prep and I'll eat at school, but sometimes I might go out somewhere close by to eat with classmates, or sometimes I come back. And depending on the day, I mean, sometimes we get out, you know, as early as 3, but other times we might get out till 5. So usually like for operative lab, we'll get out till 5. So basically for the labs, we're split in half. So we are 104 students, I believe. And so we're split in half. So some people go in 1 to 3, and other people will go in 3 to 5, and we alternate it. So it can be fair for us. And I think the advantage of splitting us in half is that faculty is able to be with us on a more personal level and help us out more than having like all of us sitting down, and then like there's only a few amount of faculty members, and you know they have to go around for everybody. And so usually on the weekends I'll study, or I'll try and find time to drill. Sometimes I study here at school, or other times just in my apartment on my desk, sometimes at apartments with friends, or sometimes I go around town and find other places. Sometimes what I'll do, it just really depends on the day. I really like playing music, and it really distracts me. So what I'll do is I'll study, and then what I'll do just for fun is I'll play like a piece or two on my violin, and I'll go back to studying. Or sometimes I'll just like start singing for a little bit just to get my mind off, you know, the studying or the stress that I'm feeling. I also really enjoy shows, so sometimes I will watch like an episode or two or of a show, depending on how much time I have. And something that I also do sometimes for fun during my breaks is I get on TikTok and I watch TikTok videos. They just really distract me sometimes, a little more than they should. But, you know, it's important to take breaks because then you get brain fried. And it's happened to me already before. So it's just important to really, I guess, learn, you know, what works for you and what doesn't, so you won't get brain fried and so you can enjoy the process and be sane. Every day I go, I know that I'm going to learn something new, something important and relevant, and that a majority of my lectures are going to be great. We have some great lecturers here, so I really like the way some instructors lecture us about things that I find super interesting. And I know that no matter the day or how I feel on a personal level, I know that I'm going to go and have that sense of a family-based environment at school, whether it's with the workers in the front of the school, in front of the clinic, or at the grill, or in the library, just in the hallway. Like, I know I'll see people that will motivate me, that will make me feel good, that will smile, that will say hi, and that includes professors and even some people in academic affairs. So I really like just going and knowing that there's going to be a good vibe. I hope that you guys have found the information I've given y'all to be relevant, and that you learned a little bit about my journey, and that it may help you make a difference in yours, that you learned a little bit about the Texas dental schools. I think that it's important to know that, everyone's journey is different, so what worked for me might not resonate with you, and that's fine. We're all different. So my biggest advice to you all is knowing that everyone's different. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, but you are worth it, and you are able to get in just like any other. So if you really want it, go for it. I know it's hard, I know it's competitive, and I know it's stressful, but if you really want it and you really have a passion for it, you must do it. You must go through it. And the day that you apply and you have your interview, show them who you are, and make sure you convey that passion, that drive that you have for the career, so that you may be able to go hopefully to your ideal dental school. And no matter where you go, what matters is getting that degree and giving it your all to become the best possible dentist you can. Because it's not about where you go, it's about what you put into it to be the best type of dentist. Everyone's journey is different. Some people go in right after undergrad, some people take gap years. That's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally took a gap year, and it was honestly one of the best things for me, because I was able to work and learn things outside of dentistry and just enjoy my time before I wasn't going to have any for a while. And so I was also able to enjoy time being with family before coming here, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's people that are younger than me in my school, and there's people that are a lot older than me, so it's never too late to come back to chase your dreams. And so know that. And I know that I mentioned having the imposter syndrome. If you feel the same way, I just wanted to let you know that it's okay, and it's going to get better, and that there's space for you in the field of dentistry if you put your heart into it. So I would like to give you all some contact information that I think would be great for you all if you all want to reach out to me if you have any more questions. So you can search me up on Instagram as Julian Fern 21, so JulianFern 21. And my email is Julian.Fernandez, so Julian.Fernandez @uth.tmc.edu. So feel free to email me and reach out if you have any questions, and if you want to know more. I'm welcome to whoever wants to talk. Thank you.